How's it going, Kate?
I'm good. I have a beer and I'm ready to open it.
Oh, she's thirsty, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This one is
from.
Welcome to History Buffoons.
Oh, apparently she was jumping the gun. She really wanted to drink.
I'm thirsty.
So she didn't want to actually do the podcast.
I'm
she just
Kate.
wants to drink. Yeah, we went over that. Yeah, welcome to History Buffoons. Kate's thirsty, so we're going to open a beer.
Yeah.
What are we trying today, Kate? Oh,
smells good. It's called, mine is New Belgium
Juice
Voodoo.
Force. Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPA, right?
Yes, he can read mine, folks.
Well, no, I'm just sad because it's the one I wanted.
Well, here, take it.
No, I'm kidding. It's fine. I have way too many chords in front of me to move. I like mine. So mine is the Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. It's one of their more go-to. Pretty good seller. But yeah, we are going to try this. I don't think you've never tried one of those before, right?
No, this is new. It's 9.5%
ABV.
Yeah.
And what does ABV stand for?
Obviously. I don't know.
Obviously.
This one says 9.5% ALC.
Yeah, so I think that stands for alcohol / volume because you didn't read the rest of it.
Well, why would it not say ABV?
Because they're being weird. I don't know. All right, cheers.
Cheers. Oh, mine is like really citrusy.
I know. That's why I like that one. It's really good. So the Juice Force is talking about probably being a little more on the hazy side, where my Imperial IPA is going to be a little more traditional IPA. Maybe not traditional isn't the right word. It's going to be a little more hopped up IPA because it's an Imperial.
How about we switch halfway through?
Yes, I would like your backwash.
Yeah.
I just killed that, folks.
Yeah.
Kate has she doesn't like when people spit in front of her, and yeah, saliva is.
We don't have to keep talking about it.
I mean, I can edit it out.
So, how was your day?
It was good. Got a lot. Oh, sorry, I was just trying to set my beer down. Got a lot done around the house. How was your day?
I helped you get a lot of done around your house.
You sure did, and I greatly appreciate, and I know my wife does, the kids tried to get in the way, but we greatly appreciate your help. Thank you for all we did today.
I am completely bit up.
We have a lot of mosquitoes in Wisconsin this time.
Oh my gosh, I am so bit up. They really like my blood.
Yeah, oddly enough, apparently they don't like mine. I'm okay. I just don't notice it as much as you do.
Do you know your blood type?
I don't actually know. My dad asked me this literally like this past week. Do you know your blood type? I'm like, I have no idea what that is. So, and then I go to my dad, do you know what the universal blood type is? And he didn't know. And the only reason why I know is because of the band Type O Negative.
I learned that in massage school and science class.
Sure, makes sense.
Throughout high school, whatever. But I mostly learned it from like watching ER. Really? Yes, I grew up on ER.
I mean, I watched
Anthony Edwards. Great.
I mean, Goose, yeah.
I can't watch that movie because he dies. Spoiler alert!
I'm sorry, it came out almost 40 years ago.
And I've watched it one time, and because I knew exactly who Anthony Edwards was and how good he was in ER, I literally cannot watch that movie a second time.
So you saw ER before you ever saw Top Gun?
Yes.
I always find it funny in the age difference and how weird that is to me because I didn't go to the theater because I wasn't that old, but I saw it shortly, not long after it came out, like on video.
Yeah, I probably saw all 15 seasons of ER before I ever watched Top Gun.
Wow. That's...
Yeah.
I would say mind-blowing, but it's really not.
Yeah. I watched it much, much, much later in my life.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new one, Maverick?
No.
It's pretty good. I mean, they're flying around in planes and blow shit up.
Naturally.
What else would you like? Just saying.
Goose.
Well, his son is in the new one. or not.
It's like Twister and the new movie Twisters coming out, and it's their son and whatever.
But it's not in Twisters.
It's not his son? Their son?
No.
Oh, who is it?
No one. It's like a new version of Twister.
Oh.
From what I understand, at least the little bit I read on it.
What am I thinking of where the son comes? Oh, Gladiator. The second Gladiator. It's
that's coming out. That's going to be...
Not his son, but it's...
It's going to be her son, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what the hell is that? Lucius? Yeah, Lucius. This is the son's name, right?
I don't know.
I believe.
Your dog's named after the main character.
My dog's name is Maximus. I love that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I usually fall asleep to it.
Yeah, I've
I don't know a lot
too.
of the nuances.
Fair enough. A lot of people die.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. If you haven't seen Gladiator, check it out.
We recommend.
5 stars.
Falling asleep to it.
I mean, I recommend watching it, but, whatever.
Should we get into our story?
I feel like we should.
So, this story... Okay, so I did not know about this story until after I watched a movie.
Which I know the movie very well.
I'm talking about V for Vendetta.
Love that movie.
It is such a phenomenal movie. And for like the first 10 times that I watched it, I picked up on something new every time.
Sure. Makes sense.
Now it's just... I watch it as entertainment and...
Oh, it is a movie.
Well, you know what I mean. Like,
not for historical references?
Yeah, I'm watching... Yeah, so before I was watching it as like, oh, that's new information. Like, oh, okay, that's really interesting plot dynamic. And now I'm just like, yeah, I've seen this. Let's keep... Ooh, that was my microphone. But now...
That was my microphone.
But now I'm watching it knowing exactly... Anyway... So the story...
What are we talking about right now?
V for Vendetta.
I get that.
It's a great movie. You should watch it. It's phenomenal.
It is not a historical document. It's based off of historic events. It was actually based off of a graphic novel.
Yes, which I didn't know about for a while, the longest time.
Yeah, but you picked that up on one of those 10 watchings, right?
I have a bug bite itch.
Oh dear.
Oh God, it hurts so bad. Well, it scratches so good.
What?
Well, like you scratch an itch and then you get that like immediate high afterwards. Your skin is all like euphoric, like, oh, that was bliss. And then it starts itching all over again. That's what I'm feeling at the moment because I just scratched it. So we're going to talk about the Gunpowder Plot of 1605.
Yep.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready to learn some other information that I did not know. Because I'll be honest, obviously I know of it, but my main education also came from a fictional movie that was based off of said events. And yes, I'm still talking about V for Vendetta because I love that movie.
It's so good.
Hugo Weaving, fucking amazing.
Oh, he's so good.
Do you remember who the other actor was who originally played V before he took over?
No, because he doesn't matter.
I didn't ask if it mattered.
No, because he doesn't matter.
James Purefoy would fucking think differently.
I don't know who that is.
He's an actor who originally played V.
So,
anywho.
So this plot happened in 1605. However,
Correct.
like the whole start of the story came around the time of King Henry VIII.
Right.
And he was married to Catherine.
5 different people.
Catherine of Aragon.
Aragog.
It's
the pincers. And I'm sorry, every time I hear Aragon, like in Lord of the Rings or his wife, I just think of Aragog from Harry Potter. Mm-hmm, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. So Henry VIII wanted to divorce Catherine of Aragon and marry who?
Anne Boleyn.
Anne Boleyn. But he couldn't.
No, because that's why the whole Church of England was created.
So he was a devout Catholic.
He sure was. A lot of people were back then.
Yeah. And he was used to being in power. However, he found it quite difficult to bend his will to the papacy.
Well, that's because the church had such power back in those times.
Yeah.
Everything that was done was typically for the church.
And in order for him to get a divorce, he would literally break himself free.
Yeah, and created the Church of England.
He created Church of England.
If I'm not mistaken, since him and every king and or queen that was the ruler is technically the head of the Church of England, if I'm not mistaken.
So he joined the Protestant Reformation.
Ooh.
And he denounced the Catholic Church as corrupt.
Yep.
And broke all ties to Rome in 1533.
I like how I didn't get my way. You're corrupt.
Yeah.
Sounds like our government.
So King Henry had 3 children. And I want to see if you can guess what queen they came from.
Okay.
So his first kid was Mary.
Yeah, which that's from Catherine.
Catherine. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
His second child was Elizabeth.
Which was from Anne.
Mm-hmm. And his third child was Edward.
Oh dear. Give me a second. This is really good podcasting. Dead air.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
She died during childbirth.
Oh shit. Yes, I know which one you're talking about. I'm drawing a blank on her name.
All the one people that are listening to us is probably like yelling at us.
Al, do you know this?
Her name is Jane Seymour.
That's right, Jane Seymour. Fuck. Yeah. Isn't she the one that he actually is buried next to?
I don't know.
I don't remember now. I'm getting all of his wives. So, side note, my mother-in-law she likes to collect things from time to time, and it's great because she goes like all fucking in, and I love that about her. One of her current things that she likes to collect are called Toby Jugs, Toby mugs. No, I'm probably fucking it up. Anywho, they're just basically like a head. They're a mug, and they're a head, typically of a character. She's got this really cool part of her set is King Henry and all of his wives, and they all have like each individual one has something like. One has a Tower of London as a handle or something like that. They're really cool. But I always thought that was neat because...
How big are they?
Well, they come in different sizes, but hers are like, I don't know, 8-10 inches tall.
Like a pineapple?
Sure. I mean, completely different thing. Fruit, mug, whatever.
Well, the height of a pineapple.
It's probably like a stein.
Oh, okay.
More or less that kind of... height, I guess, but they're pretty big. But then there's she got a lot of little ones as well. But they're all from England, is where they all came from. So,
cool. So King Henry died in 1547.
And young Edward
was 9 years old.
Yeah.
And he ascended the throne.
Yes.
However, he had guardians.
Well.
And they were Protestant.
Yep.
And so together with his guardians, he continued his father's reign of the church.
Correct.
But he was actually kind of a sickly child, so he died at age 15.
Yeah, he wasn't around very. That's why Elizabeth took over. Well,
Mary.
Don't interrupt. Ultimately, Elizabeth took over, but Mary, otherwise known as.
Do you want to talk about the story?
I'm sorry. I thought we were supposed to interact. I was wrong, folks. Stay tuned.
So, Mary ascends the throne in 1553.
Yep.
And she managed to maintain her Catholic beliefs despite the oppression that was happening around her.
Yeah.
She was completely steadfast against Protestantism. And
because she was very devout Catholic, for sure.
And because of the treatment of her mother at King Henry's hands.
Correct.
So when Mary became queen, she had a severe hatred for Protestantism. Protestantism.
They need a better word.
So anyone supporting the religion, whether practicing or hiding people, were considered heretics. and she had no guilt in burning them at the stake when she found them.
Do you know what her nickname is? Or was?
That was a question I was going to ask for you.
Oh, shit. Ask me your question.
So 237 men and 52 women were executed. What was her nickname?
Bloody Mary.
Mary died in 1558.
Yep.
After just 5 years.
Of rule, not of life.
Now enters
Queen Elizabeth
Elizabeth. There you go.
The first.
And what religion was she?
Protestant.
She was.
Yeah, she was all in on what Daddy did.
Yeah.
So.
Are you getting whiplash yet? Protestantism, Catholic. Protestant.
I mean, I wasn't, but now that you mention it, yeah, my neck hurts.
Your neck hurts. Yeah, I know.
Fuck.
So in 1559, Elizabeth enacted the Act of Supremacy and the Act of Uniformity.
Okay.
This reinstated many proclamations which had been repealed by Mary.
Right.
So the acts declared the celebration of Mass and other Catholic traditions illegal.
Like, what's the communion, or not communion? Is that the right word?
Yeah, communion.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
So that was one of them that would have been... Mm-hmm. Okay.
So she also wanted... As part of this act of supremacy, she was also maintaining her title as Supreme Head of the Church of England.
Right.
So these new laws also introduced fines for those who refused to attend the Church of England's services.
Oh, dear.
These people were known as recusants.
Recusants?
Yeah.
That's a weird word.
Recusants.
I cannot... I believe I've never heard that word before right now.
So I read a book, and it was called... something.
Jesus Christ. Oh my word. I'm sorry, Al.
It's called The Gunpowder Plot,
Yes.
History in an Hour by Sinhead.
Sinhead?
That's not how you pronounce Sinhead.
Sinead?
Fitzgibbon.
Can you spell Sinhead for me?
Syned.
Sinead. You know, like Sinead O'Connor?
So it's pronounced Sinead.
Yeah.
Okay, the Gunpowder Plot.
Jesus Christ.
Sinead Fitzgibbon.
Oh my god, that was fantastic.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So in 1570, Pope Pius V
That fucking Pope.
issued the papal bull that excommunicated Elizabeth from the Catholic Church.
Which they didn't care.
And it absolved all Catholics of the allegiance to their queen.
Oh.
Catholics had a duty to God before their monarch.
Correct, because, church first.
So all Catholics were now viewed as potential traitors to the crown.
Correct.
I'm so glad you think I'm right on everything.
I don't. I just know what you wrote down.
Elizabeth feared uprisings, so in a new law, she denounced priests as traitors and
Jesus.
banned them from the English shores. So Catholicism is now regarded as high treason instead of just illegal. So this law drove Catholics underground.
Oh, yeah. Ton of them.
Some priests fled, but most actually remained in England. And in fact, 450 additional foreign priests arrived in England for support. And 130 of those were executed for efforts to administer the Catholic faith.
Jesus. Isn't that why a lot of... Is this... I guess I'm just remembering something off the top of my head. Is this where, priest holes came from, where they would hide priests? Did that come across your research
It
at all?
did not, but
Okay.
I could understand that pairing.
Right. I'm not sure if this is where those, kind of came from, but I know that was a thing where they obviously would hide them, and this would make sense because of what's going on. Mm-hmm. But anyway, sorry.
So Elizabeth died in 1603.
Okay.
And the Scottish king, James VI, rose to power.
Sure did.
So James is the grandson of Henry VIII's sister,
Yes.
Mary, Queen of Scots.
Yes.
So he actually did have a legitimate claim to the throne,
Yes.
and he was met with little opposition. So he was James the Sixth in Scotland,
But
but in
James
England he's James the First.
Right. And do you know why that is?
Tell me.
I'm asking you.
I didn't write it down, so tell me.
So, for example, if there was a James before him in England, he would have been James II.
Well, yes.
It's just like Queen Elizabeth
Yes.
the First.
I thought you were going to give me some super
No.
insight.
I'm literally asking if you know why the numbers are what they are.
Because there's not a James the First of England
Then
already.
just answer the fucking question. Jesus Christ.
So the first act that James had was to introduce the Union of Crowns, and it declared Scotland and England to be united under one monarch.
Oh, snap.
So James was a Protestant, but the English Catholics thought that there would be some improvement of their fortunes as his mother was a devout Catholic.
Mary?
Yes. So initially, he actually did reduce the fines on the recusants. But then he realized how heavily reliant the crown was on that income,
It's all about the money, bro.
and he reinstated the fines.
What a dick. I mean, I get it, but what a dick.
So by this time, with all the backlash, all the whiplash, and the fines,
And the backlash.
yeah, there were several Catholic noblemen who decided they wanted to take action.
Hence, what we're talking about.
This action is called the Gunpowder Plot.
The gunpowder treason and plot?
So it started with just 5 men,
Yep.
and it was a plot to actually blow up Parliament.
Correct.
But it soon became 13 people.
Oh,
Yeah.
lucky number 13.
Yeah. So, who is like the face of Gunpowder Plot that you know of from your understanding of the plot?
Guy Fawkes.
Yes. It was actually Robert Catesby who was the chief architect of the plot.
Yeah, because, like you said, originally there was 5, right? That was the first number. But for some reason, man, they just loved pinning it all on Guy Fawkes.
So, Robert Catesby grew up as a devout Catholic,
Okay.
and he actually witnessed his father's imprisonments for
Oh.
practicing.
Shit, that's fucked up.
So, he actually was was a fairly wealthy family,
Okay.
but his wealth diminished quickly because of all the fines,
Sure, that would make sense.
which made him really bitter.
Yeah. I mean, I could see how that would make him pretty pissed off.
So there was at one time when Queen Elizabeth actually became ill that Robert Catesby was imprisoned with other members of the eventual plot. So some of them who were devout Catholics in this plot, separate
Sure.
from the plot, they were all imprisoned for fear of an uprising while she was sick.
Makes sense.
So when she gets better, they actually get released.
Okay.
So Robert was very well liked with his family and his friends and held considerable sway over them. So many of the noblemen involved in the plot did so out of misguided personal loyalty. Like they pretty much did everything he said.
Sure, yeah, I get that.
So some of the men were Francis Tresham.
Okay.
He was the first cousin of Catesby. Brothers Robert and Thomas Winter, who were also cousins of Catesby.
So it's a family affair. Mm-hmm. All right.
The brothers Robert and Thomas Winter had a brother-in-law,
Jesus.
John Grant.
Okay, so still kind of in the realm of family.
Jack and Christopher Wright, who were brothers, and their brother-in-law,
The Wright brothers?
Thomas Percy.
Okay.
Ambrose Rookwood.
Ambrose, that's a heck of a name.
Everard Digby.
Okay.
Robert Keyes. Catesby's faithful servant Thomas Bates.
Oh, good old Tom.
And Guy Fawkes.
Hey, there he is.
And Guy Fawkes, the only connection that I found was that he attended school with the Wright brothers at one point.
Not from Ohio.
What?
Not from Ohio. Wright brothers. I'm just making sure people understand.
What are you talking about?
You said he attended school with the Wright brothers. And I said not the Ohio Wright brothers.
Right, because we're in England.
I know. I'm just making sure people understand.
So Guy Fawkes had an extensive knowledge on gunpowder, and Catesby needed that for his plot. So Guy Fawkes had spent 12 years as a mercenary in the Catholic King of Spain's army. And in Spain, he went by Guido Fawkes.
Guido! I didn't know that. That's funny. Good old Guido.
So cousin Thomas Winter argued with Catesby that if their plot failed, it would result in an exacerbation of an already terrible situation.
Right.
And Catesby declared, quote, "The nature of the disease requires so sharp a remedy," end quote. Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So the plot's target was Parliament, so the place that had done all the mischief. Catesby proposed to use gunpowder to blow up Parliament, which in doing so would also bring down the new king and the sitting government. So with the inevitable chaos that would happen afterwards, Catesby had hoped that the Catholics would rise up and seize the power. Sort of how they would imprison all these Catholics while Elizabeth was sick for fear of uprising. Well, if Parliament and the king and all the sitting government is, if they're all dead, then
whatever,
the Catholics will rise.
Sure. No, I get his rationale there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the official opening of Parliament was a year away. It was actually supposed to be held in 1604, but there was an outbreak of the plague, so Parliament got moved back a year. So they had a year to plan, essentially.
I mean, I guess that helped them out a bit.
Yeah.
Even though...
So... originally, they wanted to dig a tunnel under Parliament, but that didn't seem achievable. So they rented a storeroom in March of 1605, which was an adjacent cellar used to store firewood, and it was located directly underneath the House of Lords. So Thomas Percy, who had legitimate business in Westminster, took up the least, as he would cause the least suspicion. He was an intermediary to King James.
So he leased it out. So because he was in that world, it would be less suspicious.
It would, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that makes sense, because if Guy Fawkes all of a sudden rented this place or leased this place, whatever.
Right.
Like, who the fuck is this guy?
So speaking of who the fuck this guy is, Guido Fawkes actually masqueraded as Percy's servant and called himself John Johnson. How original.
John Johnson. That's his porn name, basically?
And he was the one that actually guarded the storeroom.
Okay.
So Robert Catesby had actually owned a house across from the Thames from Westminster, and supplies of gunpowder were ferried across the river and smuggled into the storeroom.
Okay.
There was actually very little talk of what would happen after the explosion, and as Catesby really didn't see any reason why the Catholics wouldn't rise up and capitalize on the...
So he just hoped that was the outcome.
There was no plan.
There was no, hey, let's send out a message to these Catholics, rise up on this day.
No.
That's some blind hope there.
The only thing that they had planned was a rendezvous point.
Ooh, gotta get to the rendezvous point.
So on Saturday, October 26th, 1605.
Do you know what happened on 9/25? Anyways, okay, September 26th. Nice.
If you're gonna say stuff like it, you gotta finish. You gotta say a reason why.
Kate never remembers when I was born or what my birthday is. So I randomly tell her 9/25 a lot. Anyways, good story. I should tell it at a party.
So, October 26th, conspirator Tresham...
Oh, wait, now we're on October? What happened to September?
It was always October.
You said 9/26.
On Saturday, October 26th, 1605, conspirator Tresham's brother-in-law, who was also a cousin of Catesby...
Of course he was.
...is named Lord Monteagle.
Monteagle?
I mean, Monteagle is how it's spelled.
Monteagle?
He received a letter from a stranger
Okay.
under the cloak of night.
Ooh.
His servant, Thomas Ward, read it out loud.
Okay.
And it said, quote, "My lord, out of the love I bear to some of your friends, I have a care of your preservation. Therefore, I would advise you, as you tender your life, to devise some excuse to shift your attendance at this parliament, for God and man hath concurred to punish the wickedness of this time. And think not slightly of this advertisement, but retire yourself into the country where you may expect the event in safety. For there be no appearance of any stir, yet I say they shall receive a terrible blow this parliament, and yet they shall not see who hurts them. This counsel is not to be condemned, because it may do you good and can do you no harm. For the danger is past as soon as you have burnt the letter, and I hope God will give you the grace to make good use of it, to whose holy protection I commend you." End quote.
So a random person, which obviously knew of what they were doing, tried to save this person, basically?
Yes.
Wow.
So this was an anonymous letter. However, historians believe that it was Francis Tresham, because they were cousins, Lord Montague.
Yep.
And Tresham was actually one of the more reluctant plotters.
Okay.
Who had some misgivings, and like I said, he was also by marriage
Yeah, related to these
related
people.
to Lord
Yeah.
Montague.
Yeah.
So the letter was never burned, as was instructed,
Oh.
and instead it was given to several members of Parliament.
Oh, shit. Way to go.
So the servant that read the letter, Thomas Ward, was a Catholic recusant and related to marriage to the conspirators Christopher and Jack Wright. It is all in the family, folks.
Yeah, the Wright brothers.
He figured Catesby was behind the plot and sent an urgent message to the letter Montague received. But Catesby urged onward. So the king was actually given the letter on November 1st as he was out hunting.
Oh, dear.
When this happened at the end of October.
Okay.
The king remained steadfast and waited to capture the men closer to the day of the plot. They're like, let's just see what happens and we'll catch them in the act, essentially.
Sure.
So the king's men swept the nearby buildings, the houses, the cellars, and vaults around Westminster on the night of November 4th. They came into contact with John Johnson.
Oh, good old John Johnson.
Fox.
Yeah.
Who was guarding a large stockpile of firewood.
Sure was.
Hidden underneath the firewood was 36 barrels of gunpowder.
Okay.
The search party didn't stay very long, as Johnson claimed that he was serving Thomas Percy, who was supposed to be around Parliament.
Yep.
Upon news about Percy, though, they went back to the vault to search further, because they're like, what's he doing?
Yeah, seems a little suspicious.
Yeah. So they actually knew that Percy was actually a Catholic agitator, so they're like, this doesn't make sense. He's already against us. Let's go double check.
Let's investigate further.
So they found the stockpile, and Fox was arrested.
Yep.
So the king asked Fox why he was prepared to murder so many innocent people, and Fox replied, quote, "So dangerous a disease required a desperate remedy," end quote.
There you go.
So upon news of Fox's arrest, the rest of the plotters fled to their prearranged rendezvous. Fox was brutally interrogated, but he refused to identify his fellow plotters and continued to claim his name to be John Johnson.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so the brutality of Fox was actually more of a gradual event.
Okay.
So there were two forms of torture that were more traditional then. It was monocles and the rack. So
the rack was a very big one. What's the monocles?
So Fox, who had been transferred to the Tower of London, suffered from the monocles. Like, that was pretty well known in history, which is being hung by his hands for an extended period of time.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
The rack, which was never confirmed that he actually received, involved a person being stretched by the arms and legs on a large wooden frame until their limbs became dislocated.
Correct.
So on November 7th, Fox caved and revealed his identity and the names of all the conspirators.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Ratted them all out.
Yeah, he was tortured pretty bad.
Well, I mean, torture will do that. That's why they tortured people, to get information, whether it be true or not.
And they found him on the 4th, and this was the 7th, so several days.
3 days. Jeez.
So on Friday, November 8th, 200 government men found the rendezvous point, and a gunfight ensued.
So they were all just hanging out there still? Mm-hmm. Oh, shit. That seems weird to me. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you just hang out there?
Some wanted to flee, but Gatsby was like, no, we gotta stand strong.
What are you standing strong for? Your shit fucking fell through.
But they don't entirely know that yet.
I guess, but how do they not know? Because they knew he got arrested, and they jumped the gun to go to the...
Well, they knew that the plot didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, many of the conspirators were shot, but all of them clung to life.
Oh.
Gatsby actually managed to escape towards the inner rooms of the building that he was in, and he picked up a picture of the Virgin Mary, and with the gunshot that he had, died with this picture of Virgin Mary in his arms.
Oh.
Like, devout to the very end.
That's some straight up religious, yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
Eventually, only 8 were sent back to London. The rest died.
And that...
In this gunfire,
So
like, eventually.
five died, because there was 13, you said, right? Well, Guy Fawkes was part of that?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, Guy Fawkes was still in the Tower of London, not
Right.
the rendezvous point.
No, I know that.
So, the 8 that came back to London all signed confessions.
Of course.
So, at a trial in January of 1606, all of the accused were found guilty of treason and sentenced to death by hanging,
Oh, dear.
drawing, and quartering.
Isn't drawn and quartered part of the same torture? Or
I'm
execution, I
about
guess?
to explain.
Okay, I mean, I know what it is, but yes.
The torturer, Sir Edward Coke, described the punishment. Quote, "He shall be strangled, being hanged up by the neck between heaven and earth, as deemed unworthy of both or either.
Oh, dear.
As likewise that the eyes of the men may behold and their hearts condemn him. Then he is to be cut down alive, and to have his privy parts cut off and burnt before his face, as being unworthily begotten and unfit to leave any generation after him.
Hopefully he didn't have any before that.
His bowels
Yeah.
and inlaid parts taken out and burnt, who inwardly had conceived and harbored in his heart such horrible treason. After, to have his head cut off, which had imagined the mischief. And lastly, his body to be quartered, and the quarters set up in some high and eminent place to the view and detestation of men, and to become a prey for the fowls of the air."
Wow.
End quote.
All right, he was very eloquent.
So they're going to get hanged,
Yes.
but not killed,
Correct.
taken down,
Correct.
disemboweled,
Correct.
chopped off,
Check. Privy parts.
and then his head was cut off, and then his body quartered to be left to the birds.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like a bit much. His head's already fucking cut off. He's dead. Just, what the fuck? Why do you have to quarter him at that point? Jesus Christ.
So between the remaining men, they were going to be executed between 2 days.
Okay.
January 30th and the 31st.
Gotcha.
Fox was the last to die.
Really? Mm-hmm. Poor guy.
So the hangman's noose actually broke his neck and he died instantly.
And they're like, fucker.
So he didn't get any of the remaining torture.
Lucky him, I guess, because, your
Sounds
life...
horrendous.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's fucking terrible.
So, King James introduced an act of parliament that declared every year on November 5th, which was the original plot
Date.
his people were to attend a service of thanksgiving in appreciation of the country's escape from such an inhumane act.
Well, depends on how you look at it. I guess some people believed in it. So, yeah.
So that continued until 1859, and it kind of like evolved into different things.
Sure.
The tradition of marking the day currently is celebrated in the United Kingdom and some Commonwealth countries.
Okay.
The holiday involves activities such as parades, fireworks, bonfires, and children frequently carry straw effigies of fox, which are later tossed into bonfires.
Poor guy.
The holiday could also be called Bonfire Night.
Bonfire Night, all right.
So, fast forward to 2005.
Okay.
There was an ITV program called The Gunpowder Plot Exploding the Legend.
All right.
And they built a replica of the House of Lords.
Okay.
And they blew it up with 1 ton of gunpowder.
So like 2,000 pounds?
The experiment...
All right. I guess talking to muscle.
The experiment showed the explosion would have killed everybody inside.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So you said 1 ton of gunpowder. Is that the equivalent to what they had in 1605?
I would imagine.
Because you said, what?
36 barrels.
Yeah, 36 barrels. I don't obviously know what a barrel of gunpowder weighs. But.
And apparently Fox's gunpowder was fairly low quality.
Oh, really?
But they determined that the plan would still have been that deadly.
Okay. Wow. So they if they could have fucking pulled it off, they would have
they would have. Well, they would have blown up Parliament. I don't know about...
Well, right.
resurrecting the Catholic religion, but
I find it funny because I feel like they really put a lot of faith in there, and I don't know, you don't know which way it would have went, but I feel like, how the fuck we're like, yeah, we're gonna blow shit up and then Catholics will rise up again, or they're not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they were persecuted a lot in England at that time, so maybe a lot of them were like, let's just lay low and see what happens.
So, do me a favor and quote the nursery rhyme that has come about.
I mean, I can do the beginning part.
Yes, and it's in V for Vendetta as well. So you can say the beginning, but there is a rhyme.
Remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. For I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot.
And then it continues on.
At the part I don't know.
Guy Fawkes, Guy, 'tis our intent to blow up the king and his parliament. 70 barrels laid below to prove old England's overthrow. By Gold's providence he got catched with dark lantern and burning match. A stick and a stake for King George's sake, and a rope and a cart to hang Bonaparte. Pope, Spanish Pope, nobody's news is coming to town. A halfpenny loaf to feed old Pope, and a pennyworth of cheese to choke him. A pint of beer to drink his health, and a 2-penny faggot to burn him. Burn his body from his head, and then we'll say old Pope is dead. Holla, boys, holla, make your voice ring. Holla, boys, holla, God save the king. Hip, hip, hooray.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, I learned my part that I said from the movie.
From the movie.
I never knew there was more to it than that.
I didn't either.
When you told me that, I'm like, really? And I'll be honest, the first part is way better than the second part.
It's so great.
But I think it also really kind of sounds better because I just picture Hugo Weaving saying it because his voice is so great. I love listening to his voice in movies. And that's all you see. That's all you hear, really, is his voice. You don't ever actually see him in the movie because of the mask. So, like, his whole character is his voice, which makes sense because he's trying to create a voice for this whole thing. And, the way he says it is just fantastic. So, yeah, I was surprised that there was another part. I had no idea there was another part to that whole little nursery rhyme or whatever, you want to call it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean... Remember the 5th of November. That's why I watch I'll watch it not just on the date, but I usually watch V for Vendetta on
I'll watch
5th.
it a couple times a year. Like, it's just so good.
No, I love that movie. I remember going to see it. I was with another person at the time than my current wife, and she was kind of like, about it. And I'm like, no, let's go. This looks fucking amazing. Mm-hmm. And it was made by, well, at the time, the Wachowski brothers. Now they're the Wachowski sisters, who made The Matrix. Phenomenal movies as well. But I'm like, let's go see this movie. This looks really good. And I absolutely fucking loved it. I think she liked it. I don't care if she did, but I think she did.
She's no longer in the picture.
No, she's gone. So I liked it so much, and I tend to do this. We mentioned Gladiator at one point in our conversations. Like, I love that movie, and like, I got to go see that again. Did the same thing for V for Vendetta. I loved it so much. I'm like, I'm going back to see that in the theater because I love going to the theater. That's why I wish they would make better movies again, like they used to.
That's why I wish they made better movies.
The last 4 years have sucked. There's been a couple gems, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm super excited for the new Deadpool movie. And yes, this is dating when we're recording this, but I really don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's been all reboots or remakes and nothing original and so on. So yeah, I'm like excited for a movie for a change. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, Gladiator. Super cool that they're finally making a second one, but it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like the first one was good by itself.
First one was amazing. It could have been a standalone.
Yeah.
Should have been a standalone. Well, we can't say it should have been. We don't know that yet. Let's see what they do.
Independence Day should have been a standalone.
That's not wrong. But yeah, I do enjoy my at least for sure once a year viewing of V for Vendetta on November 5th.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also, like you, watch it a few other times throughout the year too.
Yeah.
It's just so good. I love that movie.
I mean, that's a movie that I can have in the background now.
I know it so well that if I just want some background noise, it's perfect for that because I just know it so well and I can pop in whenever and know exactly what's happening. So yeah, I do rather enjoy that. I did not know that there was that many people, 13, right? You said, that were involved technically, and that it started out with just the 5 and it grew to that.
And it wasn't even Guy Fawkes. He was the first one that was caught.
Well, and that's
but it was all Catsby.
That's what I also found funny because I had talked to you about that. Whereas, he's the face of it only because he was the first one that was caught. He literally was pretty inconsequential through the whole thing because he was just guarding the warehouse, was it? Or whatever it was?
Yeah, it was storeroom.
That's what it was.
Yeah. He got all the gunpowder because of his standing in the Spanish army.
Yeah.
Well,
correct.
I don't know if he got all the gunpowder, but he knew how much was needed and etc. because of his history in the army.
Yeah, he had some knowledge to that, basically. Oh, dear. I have to yawn. I apologize.
I know.
Holy shit.
Stop.
No, I'm sorry. It's probably because I need another beer and my beer is empty. How's your beer? You haven't drank much of it.
I've been talking. I know. You can have some. It's really good.
Okay.
I liked it. I really liked it, actually.
Well, yeah. So, like, that's one thing we like to do is try some different beers. We tell our thoughts on it when we're podcasting. We enjoy beers, so
nice and citrusy.
Yeah.
It's not super IPA-y.
Typically,
hoppy.
Hazier type IPAs won't be.
Okay.
Whereas, like, mine being an Imperial IPA is definitely going to be on the more hop forward part of it, where yours is going to be more of that juicy, citrusy flavor, I guess. But I'm glad you like it, though, because I know you're not a huge IPA fan. You like some of them that you've tried that you told me, but I know you're not. You like your, Modelo and stuff like that. But
I've got a Modelo on my table next to me, too.
Yeah, next to your other beer. And these are the 19.2, right? I believe, size. Let's look. This is great. 1 pint. Yep, 19.2. So these are the big beers, single serve beers, but they're good. I like the Voodoo Ranger, and I know we've tried the Bells, which is part of the same family nowadays. So
yeah,
but yeah, we'll get to that possibly.
Well, I suppose.
All right, buffoons, that's it for today's episode.
Buckle up because we've got another historical adventure waiting for you next time. Feeling hungry for more buffoonery? Or maybe you have a burning question or a wild historical theory for us to explore.
Hit us up on social media. We're History Buffoons Podcast on Reddit, X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also email us at historybuffoonspodcast@gmail.com.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts and turn those notifications on to stay in the loop.
Until next time, stay curious and don't forget to rate and review us.
Remember, the buffoonery never stops.